then wait and go over to Jack's tomorrow and see what.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Looks like we're still letting some people in. We got a full house. So lovely to see all your faces. It's really early where some of you are, probably really late where others are. So good. I would love to ask if we can start our morning off by looking at each other. So if you are with your camera off, if you would so kindly come forward and show your beautiful faces and smiles, and that would be just so awesome to be so present with everyone here. And welcome to week 2 of Heart on Fire. So we have had a little bit of internet trouble, and if it gets to be where there's too much of a lag, we'll have to come up with a different solution. Are you able to hear me okay? And can everyone see me? Perfect. Okay. Yeah, a pole, I guess, was struck by lightning and caught on fire. And so we were without internet yesterday. And I thought at first I was going to be super angry and like, how am I ever going to get all these things done? And I really just thought of like, the biggest blessing is that we do have internet every day. And so it was just kind of like the reverse thought of like, I could be so angry, but I used it for a beautiful creative time to just step away and really totally regroup and just come into myself and like enjoy playing with jewelry and like record some videos that didn't have to be online. And so it was just like such a gift. And I was so thankful this morning also when it was back on. Sometimes there's only so much of yourself you can handle. I don't know. I've gone through periods where I could be completely by myself for a year and never have to speak to anyone. And then there's other times where I'm like, okay, 24 hours is good. So I just really want to start off by saying, first of all, thank you for showing up for yourselves today. And for those of you who have completed your assessments, thank you for doing that. I want to let you know that your time is not wasted. First of all, that is really for you. Those questions that I have designed are specifically for you to have an inward reflection of who you are. Like, because there's a lot of times that unless we're enrolled in a program or we're being prompted by someone else and ask these questions about us, we really don't take the time to think about it, much less to do anything with it. And so I'm really, really proud of you and happy for you if you have completed the assessment, because it's not easy. There's a lot of beautiful questions in there that are really provoking, and you may find a lot of resistance in. And there's other parts that you'll just skim through and be like, yes, no, yes, no. I really want you to see if you can kind of sit in with those questions that don't challenge you, the questions that do challenge you. I really want you to think about how you can get in touch with your heart much deeper by just sitting with the question and then giving a reply. Sometimes you can breeze through things, and that's the best way to do it. And so I want you to just kind of realize what processes you're taking when you're making decisions like this. So if you go into the assessment like I asked you to, which was to do it quick, nail it, just pop it out, did you find yourself doing that, or was there resistance even in that? And so as you discover how you act when something is happening, for instance, someone asks you to do something and you find resistance to wanting to do it, or you find resistance to wanting to do it the way they asked you to do it, all of these small things are indicators of who you are. And so it's a really beautiful reckoning to come to that piece of like, you know what, she asked me to do this, but I'm going to just sit with it and I'm going to take 7 hours to fill it out. You can do that too. It's all for you. Whatever you decide, it's all for you. I'm only here as a guide. I am here to give you information that will unleash the fire in your heart. And so that is what we are here to do. And that's what we're going to do. And so let's like, someone is screenshots. I'm just reading the comments for a section. Let's see, action items. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, it looks like some autopilots are in here and they're texting me. So we have some AI that's distracting me from your presence. So I'm gonna like just focus on you. If you have a question, I just say raise your hand or just jump right in. You can interrupt me. I don't mind. So I'm not going to be reading the chat until after we're done here. And so I also see that Cooper is here. Welcome, Cooper. I want you to know that you are surrounded by so much love because everyone here unanimously said, of course, we would want him to open his heart with us. And they are here to be present and vulnerable with you as well. And just such an added dynamic to have a masculine divine in with us. And, you know, we all have both feminine and masculine divine qualities inside each one of us. So when we show up as a gender, it's really just because that's who we are in the body of, right? So I was just really so happy to see that so many of you were just welcome and open already. And so thinking about that, you are already a light. Everything that you have inside you is just waiting to come out. And so this is what we're here to do. This work is deep work. It is trying work. It is not easy and it's not for the lighthearted. So I just commend you for being here and being present. And there's more of you here this week than there were last week. Again, if you're just tuning in, I did ask everyone to come on camera if you're able to. I know that if you're in motion and you're maybe driving or moving, that might not be possible. But if at all you can be present and show your faces, this is a community that's vulnerable. We're going to be talking about some beautiful things that are really tapping into our hearts. And so to be able to see each other is just so important. And so the only people that aren't showing up are the non-people, which is like the AI assistants, I think. And then we have a Womack and then Jada. Here's Nicole that's coming in now. This is great. My heart's beating so fast. This is my favorite thing to do, is to be with you. And so I want to be present with everyone as deeply as I can. And I want to share that. Oh, we've got 3 more people coming in. Here we go. Beautiful. 4. Another one. We're packing the room. So because the modules are really, really packed with information, you know, as I was going through this, and I want you to know as well, I go through these every single time I coach this. I also go through it with you. And so I discover new things about myself, and I also add to the programming if things are more relevant or potent for me, because of course, I'm growing and changing as well. And so this course will never be the same. That's why I have clients that are coming back over and over and over to take it again, because there's new realizations. And as we enter this time and space, we will enter new times and space of ourselves as well. So we will be different people each time we come through this. And so when you're going through it, you will be a bit overwhelmed, and that is really intentional. So I wanted to let you know that everything you're feeling is how you're supposed to be feeling. When you open up week 3, it's going to blow your mind. There is so much information and material that's there. And the reason that I did that is because I don't want you having to go and research and find it yourself. Not that you're not going to, because if you're here, you're most likely a constant learner and you love information and you love knowledge and you want to turn it into wisdom. And sometimes you have the fall through where you're not turning it into application or action. And that's where the wisdom isn't showing up for you. So what I encourage you to do is to be aware when you're going down the rabbit hole, right? So just to know this information is there. If it calls to you, explore it, but do not feel guilty or feel shameful or that you're not achieving if you do not get through all the material, because that's not what it's intended for. It is intended for you to be who you are and go through this program and this process in the way that is calling to you right now. And I will leave this open for a little bit longer after the 90 days, so that you can go back and check on things and revisit things after we close out, because things will start to pop up for you even after, right? And so it's going to be months that you're going to start resonating with this information. This is not that you are going to have to harness it all within 90 days. But what this program does, this process I'm leading you through, is you will start to see changes in the connection to yourself, your identity, and your heart almost immediately. I've already gotten responses from you in separate chats. Some of you have sent your videos in at the end of the assessment I have received astounding, beautiful reviews already for some of you. So I want to use that statement to encourage those of you who are not committing, who are saying you don't have time, or you're like, I'm going to get to it, or I think I can, to really remember this is about you and this is about your growth. This has nothing to do with me. I said it last week and I'll probably say it at least 11 more times. This has nothing to do with me. It is all about you, and I'm here to support you in whatever way that you need to be supported, but only you know that. I don't have that wisdom. I don't declare to be clairvoyant in that area. So if you need something, I'm going to ask you to, email us at info@shannonrizzo.com if it's a tech issue. And if it's something that your heart is calling and you really need some attention or solutions, then reach out to me in whichever way you found me to begin with. Some of you, it was on Instagram, some it was in WhatsApp or a group we've previously attended, or it was calling me, texting me, whatever it is. Please feel free to reach out. And I also want to really encourage you to first sit with yourself and ask before you reach out, what is it that you're hoping to get? Because that is the word that is one of the most difficult things to come into, is receiving. So many times we act impulsively because we need something and we don't know what it is that we need, right? But if we take a moment and we say, when I do this thing, if I were to receive this, then I would know what to do next. I would know the next step or the next person or whatever that thing might be. That's an action that will stimulate you into a connection of your heart. You would know it. And that knowing is where we want to be. We want to be in our intuitive North Star line. We want to be in our center, in our heart. And knowing, when we bring in the thing that we're seeking, and we knew it was to be, we then have information that leads us to joy and fulfillment, because it may not be what you thought it was going to be. And that's okay. But at least you know, hey, I was expecting this, I didn't get that, and so I need to try something else. And so there's a bit of confidence and a little bit of self-esteem that starts to build with each one of those actions. And so this is all about taking the action, but it's about being reflective and intuitive on what you expect from the action and watching yourself through it. So really becoming into the identity of being an aware, conscious being. And we can't do this all the time. It takes great practice. That's what I think a lot of our deepest desires are, is to be conscious and present at all times. I see it and I read it in all of the things that come into me when I do these assessments. I see it online. I feel it within myself. Is to really be present is such a great gift. And man, is it mastery. It's mastery of your soul, mastery of your identity, mastery of your surroundings, your consciousness. And so that will definitely take some practice, thousands of hours, as a matter of fact. And that's okay, because we're in it for the present moment as much as we can be, as much as we can be. And so I really want to extend an offer today to come forward and to speak about, we left last week on what are we going to do this week, and take one action towards being connected to our heart, towards doing something that we haven't done, that we kind of feel that we need to, or we desire to. And so we reflected on what our desires actually are, really feeling, even if you came up with what desires you had, that was an action. And so I want to encourage you to come forth and to talk about what your experience was over the last week, if you'd like to. We have several people on and we won't be able to get to everyone. So just in that center, maybe take 2 minutes or 3 minutes to talk about your experience and what did you gather from that experience this week. So first of all, what was your action? Secondly, what did you gain from realizing this action? And then what happened and how did you feel about it? So I'll coach you through that a little bit. If you forget some of those questions, I'll just stimulate you with a little bit of conversation as well. But if you would like to come off mute and just talk a little bit, I would love to hear from you. And I'm sure your community would love to feel your presence.
Can you just repeat that one more time, please?
Sure. So what actions or what action did you take last week? And what did you feel about that action? What was the outcome? And how did you feel about that? So really just being aware of what the action was. Were you finding any resistance? Were you finding it was easy? You can't wait to do another one. You did 10 after that. Just connect to your heart and feel into your reply, whatever it is. It doesn't even have to be in that format. If you want to just come off mute and talk for 2 minutes about your experience this week, that's also okay.
I can share, of
We'd love that. Thanks, Natalia.
course. So I had a mini breakthrough because of this one action. So my action was to remember that nothing is in the way based on that last conversation. And so I realized, okay, I've been telling myself there's always something in the way, and that's the only thing that's in the way. So I'm like, stop that. So I took little steps like I want to make a website for myself, but I want to grow it myself. I'm like, okay, are you being stubborn and cheap, or are you actually being motivated and called to business? Like, no, I want to do it for myself. So I started, and I was like, and I had so many roadblocks, like tech roadblocks again and again. And I'm like, I'm just gonna keep pushing, keep pushing, keep pushing. So it started with like a technical little thing, which is a recurring theme for me. And I was like, I'm not letting that stop me. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna figure out another website platform, etc. So that actually spiraled into me having a very emotional breakthrough where I realized that I was holding on to emotion, sadness, things that I needed more that I hadn't. And so the reminding myself there's nothing in the way led to pushing through tech issues, starting my website, almost being finished with it, and then mourning a lot of things that are not necessarily dead, but they are exiting my life slowly. And I just cried, just cried, just relief. And my partner, Jen, was beautiful in that because I leaned on her for probably like fully the first time in our relationship. So it was a beautiful breakthrough. I'm still exhausted from the crying, but I felt like really just letting go of all that baggage that I've been carrying my whole life that is what's in the way. So now I'm like, I feel really light and ready to just see things clearly. So thank you for that, because that did. Thank you.
Thank you for such a beautiful share and witnessing yourself. Wow. That just, I feel thankful at this moment. So I really appreciate you sharing and just honoring yourself. And when it got hard, how you pushed through that, because that is really where the progress is made, is when you see that pain coming up and you're able to not even see the other side, but desperately and you desire the other side so much that you're willing to go through it, and then appreciating yourself. But I love the word that you used last week was remember. And then you brought that full forward into your action. And then now you're able to remember how you came through that and to apply it over and over again. So really just, I'm going to look at the chat. I said I wouldn't, but I'm going to. I would love if you would just type a word of how you're feeling right now. Everybody type one word in the chat of how you're feeling right now. Because I think that one word potency just can captivate your heart and capture a moment, and then it can help resonate and vibrate through your day. Proud, grateful, insights, beautiful, amazed, content, encouraged. Yes, so good, so good. Would anyone else like to share? Loved, excited.
I'm not sure how to use that chat room, but I wanted to say that I feel super, super invisible, great energy.
Woo, awesome.
Yeah, I had quite an experience this week too.
Please share if you'd like.
Well, thank you, because last week I did write what I thought I wanted, and I saw resistance, and we were on vacation, and I said, I have homework to do. I'm going to move my body. So I did that, and I kept just saying, send me, you know what I want. So I want it. And then when I was getting swept by the waves and I had to get hurt and all kinds of weird things happened during this trip, it really made me realize that I am not living my dream. And I worked so hard for so many years, going to school and doing so many things to better myself. And it was a breakthrough because the action I took right after, we got home is I texted. I'm a licensed professional practitioner, and I studied for 5-6 years, to earn that and to get that, but I'm not doing anything with it. So I know it's fear and blockages I have made my own. But anyway, what I did is I called another practitioner at another church that's big. I'm in a really tiny center, and I do the best I can. I lead the meditations and I do the spiritual mind treatments, but there is no clients. There's no money. So I took a plunge. So thank you for that. So that's the action I did. And then she responded. And now is another action. I'm going to go this Sunday to the new big church. It's spiritual living. It's new thought based, the philosophy. It's not on good, evil, and none of that stuff. It's really very positive. And I'm going to go meet the other practitioners. And that's what I've missed, talking the same language with someone. My daughter helps me a lot. Of course she does. She and I talk this language. And I'm going to go Sunday. And then I was also invited to go to a meeting where they're going to pick a new minister. I'm so grateful.
Wow.
I don't know where it's going to lead, but I was not going to do that. I was just going to be a helper and do nothing. Thank you. I feel so grateful. And I feel that my inspiration, I want someone else to feel that they can reach their dream, because I had no idea that I was even going to do that, because we're closing down the end of the year and I would have to do something with my life. And I thought, well, I'll just maybe do Zoom groups or something, but that's not really who I am. I'm a real good spiritual counselor. I'm excellent, actually. So I want to get that out there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so beautiful, Laima. I feel the joy that's resonating from you. I feel that power that you have, even on Zoom. So I wouldn't knock Zoom. I know that you're totally, the physical is so important. And I really wish that we were all more present, but you have, just so you know, that the power is, and everyone else maybe feel it too. I can feel it through Zoom from you. So
thank you.
What a gift you have. What a gift. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Welcome. Yeah. Would anyone else like to share? Let's see, gratitude and energy.
I'd like to share.
Okay. Thanks, Natalie.
I let go of somebody that I love very deeply over the weekend, because I came to the conclusion that and an understanding that we weren't going anywhere. And he's somebody that I saw a future with. And so it's been really hard, but I'm also super grateful because it brought me to a deeper understanding that the patterns that I have in my life are associated with my parents. And so I noticed what the pattern is, and I've consciously decided to stop that because I'm not here to take care of them anymore, or anybody else for that matter. And so while it's sad and it's hard, I'm on like day 2 of detox from him. So I'm just really super grateful. I'm moving through the sadness and I'm discovering more and more about myself. And with each day and minute that passes, like I like me more. I think it takes a lot to take a stand and to walk away from somebody who you truly love and to decide that you're more important. And my hope is that, the universe will get it, that I'm willing to do whatever the hell it takes to get to where I want to be. And either people will show up and really be there, or they won't. And I'm going to be okay with that. So that's my thing.
Thank you so much, Nellie. That's really difficult. And it's almost it's almost as hard to keep them in your life as to let them go. It's like this slow suffering if we keep them around, right? And so when we invite them to level up to where we are and where we are with ourselves and how much love we have in our own heart, it's yeah, it can be very painful, but it's not going to be extended suffering. And so I commend you for releasing yourself from that suffering. And we're here to support you as well. Does anyone else want to share? We're talking about the action. If somebody tuned in a little bit later, the action that you took this week from last week's prompt, the activation of action.
I'll share. I loved the video on intuition, and just, yeah, it was really amazing. And also, you know, knowing that in nature, it kind of allows us to really become still and connected more. And I guess I wasn't getting out in nature enough because nature decided to come to me. I was in my office on a Zoom call in my apartment, and I had the door open to my patio, but I mean, like, it's out the kitchen, through the family room, out to the patio. And I'm on the Zoom call, and a dragonfly literally comes through my living room, through my kitchen, makes a U-turn into my office and comes and lands right on top of my computer screen.
Wow.
I know, it was such a beautiful moment. And it was, I realized, like, it was like, okay, it was saying, you know, look, I really need to, like, put this in your face. Like, you're not coming for me. I need to come for you. And also just knowing, like, okay, then I need to step up and I need to step in more. And also I'm going to be going to do ayahuasca in October as a facilitator at a retreat and an elevation guide. And so I think it was also kind of, in a way, grandmother saying, like, you know, come back. But I think that whole thing of, like, watching the intuition video really has made me realize, like, I've got to tune in more. It's all there for me. I'm just not being still enough and quiet enough to recognize it.
Beautiful, Amy. Thank you for sharing that. And from what I remember, a dragonfly, the symbolism is a new beginning. And I really love that's the new beginning, and how just kind of this dichotomy of nature landing on the technology, the computer in front of you. So this is just like the beauty of the new beginning right there, coming to you and for you. Thank you for sharing that. And I think that's the thing. So I want to also encourage anyone who is thinking about sharing, who you really are feeling your heart calling you to jump out and to speak, but there may be some resistance holding you back. Maybe you think the other shares have been such an epiphany that yours isn't as big. And so I want to encourage you to share even the small things. If you took an action great example of something that I did, and I take a lot of big actions, and small actions seem to be the harder thing for me. But sometimes just going out and standing on my balcony in the sun at breakfast time is such a hard thing for me to do. I love the sun. I desire to be in it 24 hours a day. There's something in a resistance of, if I get out there, I'll never want to come back in. And so I fight that desperately every day, that if it's raining, I can be sad and stay inside and whatever, and just do things I want to do, and it's fine. But when I think about going out into the sun, I think there's a part of me that's like, I won't want to work today. I don't want to come in and do the things I know I have to do and sit on the computer and do the things that need my attention. So just for me, an action is to, no matter what, rain or shine, is to stand on my porch in the morning outside and let my feet touch the surface and feel a different environment on my face and my body, and feel if it's rain or if it's sun, whatever nature is offering me. And if I'm really adventurous, I'll go into the front yard and put my feet in the grass. So when I say taking these small steps, it could be something so simple And so please feel free to share, even if you think it's not big, because if it's big for you, it's huge for your transformation.
I'll go next. I took a really dear friend out paddleboarding for the first time, and hadn't gone paddleboarding in a while. I've moved up to Atlanta and hadn't really got my things settled down, but it was so nice. And it really connected me with nature and with that other person. And it was so beautiful just floating around on Lake Lanier and having a great time and really connecting with nature and the person. And it was it reminded me of the things that are important to me about sharing time and just nature and letting things just take you away. We were floating around and just letting the wind blow us around. And I know that they were a little apprehensive at first, but then they they could tell that it was something that I really loved, and it was something that they really found that they really liked as well. And I wanted to share that because I thought that was just beautiful.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Cooper. So what I want to ask then as well, what action will that stimulate for you again? What did you notice about yourself when you went out there and you're saying like it's new for them and then they enjoyed it because they saw you enjoying it? What will that propel you to do? Are you going to take that into your repertoire and kind of use that practice?
Yeah, it's being in touch with like the intuition, the nature of what feels right, and committing to really commit myself to doing what feels right and what serves me. And I can share that with others, and I think that they can see that joy. And it just allows me to connect with them and with nature, and it allows me to tune in with intuition. And so many times you get bogged down with things that are every day that just don't mean that much. But when you can really step in out of that, it's beautiful.
So beautiful. That presence. Yes. Thank you for sharing. I want to encourage anyone else to come forward and talk about their action, and then we will move into anyone who did not take action and offer some help and some guidance. Is there anyone else who would like to share who did take action? Yeah, Katie, be lovely to share.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time last week just kind of acclimating to the program and everything. But what really helped me with the insights and the action was I typically do a quarterly planning session. And so I ended up doing that on Sunday. I got my journal and my computer, and I went to a coffee shop and just sat down and really evaluated like everything that's in my life right now and what do I want to be there, and like what am I doing, and right now, because I'm in between careers, I guess, I'm really taking this time to dial in and listen to my heart. And so that was the first step. And then yesterday, it's just so interesting how certain things come into my life kind of as a surprise, and they always bring me to tears. And so one of the things that I'm trying to figure out is, what does it mean when I get brought to tears? So yesterday I got an email from Zach Bush and Farmer's Footprint. And I ended up going on the site, and I spent like 2 hours that I wasn't really planning to there, just kind of like bawling and listening, reading different people's stories. And they have founder stories on there. And there was a guy that had an agency for 15 years, a marketing branding agency. And he, it kind of collapsed during COVID because he worked with luxury brands. And at the same time, there was a friend that had a like a CSA farm, and was having a really hard time because all the restaurants were closed. And it was just like his story of his really beautiful pivot from like luxury branding of Hermes, right? If I'm even saying that right, because I'm not that person, but he's like, what if we did that for food and the planet, and took people that really had the talent and supported an industry? And so It was just so beautiful. And I just sat there and bawled, and I still am not 100% like what that means. Like, what am I supposed to do with that information when it hits me so hard like that? But right now, what I do is just say yes to the universe and say, whatever this means for me, I'm interested. So that's my insight, and just really opening and trusting in every step, as I'm kind of in this unknown space. And there's part of me that wants to like go out and be like, well, I should look at all my skills and do this thing and like be really structured, and yet allowing. So I liked what you said about receiving as well. So I don't know if I have like a complete outcome other than just listening.
Yeah. It sounds like a beautiful outcome is that you're really just figuring it out. Like you're really just, you're practicing every day. And I love what, I hope you don't mind me sharing this. Would you mind if I share something from your assessment that is very surface level? It's not, and so Katie said that she's in Katie University this year, and I just freaking loved it. It was such a playful insight on how to approach the healing and the connection with your heart. Like, because we're exploring ourselves for some reason during our lives. What led us to this very point in this box here on Zoom with all these beautiful souls is that we lost the connection to ourselves, and or our identity changed. Somehow it evolved without us catching up to it. We were too busy doing the things to recognize that we were actually in metamorphosis and that we were transforming. And so now we're trying to close that gap a little bit. And it is a university. It does require education. It does require study. It does require practice and writing and like getting to know your senses and your physicalities and your skills and your heart, and like trying to discover that, you know, this beautiful, precious organ that beats inside of us is also captures and holds where our soul resides. And so that outpour of the things that are possible, we're really just peeling away all of this shell that's on the outside of us that's keeping it from shining in this energy source to beam. And so many of us, I can tell you, if you're here, you have probably at one point or another felt that your potency and your strength in manifesting or energy work or healing is so big that you do not think you can handle it. And if you feel that, put a 1 in the chat. If you feel that your calling in this world is so big that you have been dampening it with all the stuff, yeah, there's some ones popping up, right? This resonates because it's where fear allows us to find the thing to put on us to smother us, right? Our brain will go into that mode of just, let me make sure we don't get there, because we don't even know what's possible. If we let it out and we unleash it, then we'll lose everyone we love. We won't have any money. Everything will fall apart. The world will end. It'll just like spontaneous combustion. We have no idea. But what we're finding is the more that we uncover, the happier we are. And then the power gets bigger and we stand up straighter. And then we take up more room. And I did this exercise with one of you in my one-on-one calls last week. Is like, what if you just spread your arms like as far back as you possibly can and open your chest so wide up? This can even cause pain, right? We may even feel we've been contracted for so long, like on our computers and doing all the things and writing in our journals and all the stuff. Like when we sit up and back and like pull our shoulder blades back, it can be uncomfortable, right? It's like, oh, wait, you mean I'm going to expose my heart? Oh, what? Oh, I don't even know if I can handle it. And so your physical body has been in resistance mode. Like, I'm going to protect you. Don't worry. By all means, I'll protect you. Right. And then now you find this connection to nature, or connection to another soul, connection to your own body or your mind. And you're like, wow, I think I kind of feel good. I feel a little bit looser. I feel like I might want to move some more. And then we're like, okay, well, let's do something about that and start this continuous, consistent practice, whether it's yoga or journaling or being in coaching programs. Like there's a ton of different things that we do to be able to keep this going because it feels good, right? And what I want to just explore with you personally, a desire I have is to really evoke what this is that you're seeking, right? Because if we can start to listen to what our heart is telling us, this desire that we have within our own heart, it's this little whisper. And sometimes it's not very loud. It could come in the form of, no, I don't want that, right? I don't want that. But what do you want? And so a lot of times we'll be able to say, no, thank you. Or yes. I don't know why, but I want to say yes. We really want to define the why you want to say yes. We want to define the, what are you saying no to all the time? And who keeps bringing up these options for you to say no? Like these are the things that are hard to think about, right? There may be someone in your life. It may be someone very close to you. It could be a distant relative or a friend or an acquaintance. But who is constantly providing reasons for you to say no? That doesn't feel right. So these are the first things that we start to want to eliminate, but it's too hard and we shut down. And so this is the place where we're going to blossom. We're going to unfold just a little bit. We're going to flower just a little bit and be vulnerable, because the more that we can be vulnerable, the amazing, beautiful thing happens. We don't have to be scared of our potency or our beautiful light, because we're growing at a pace that is comfortable and safe for our body and for our heart. And we're acknowledging our heart the whole time. How are you feeling today? What can I do to help you feel secure? What if I were to take this action? Would we be okay? Do you think we'd be all right if I took this action? And start to open this dialogue with your heart, instead of it just being about your brain deciding what you're going to do based on previous pain, hurt, and experience, whether it's generational or whether it's here in the present, whatever it might be. We're not going to allow our brain to take over anymore. We're going to at least give it a little bit of a fight, right? We're going to say, hey, this heart deserves a voice. There's no, what is this? I think someone said it's like less than 6 inches between your throat chakra and your heart. Well, why aren't we speaking more about the things we desire? It's just right there, right here. Look, it's just like, right, let's just like let it out, right? But it takes practice and it takes beautiful safety. So in this moment right now, I would love to invite those of you who didn't take an action, and perhaps it was because you didn't get into the portal yet, you weren't able to log in. Maybe you thought about it for a second, but some resistance popped up or a big to-do list happened. Doesn't matter. There's no reasons. There's no reason to have an excuse. There's no judgment. This is completely safe. And I just want to encourage those of you who are having a little bit of trouble to just speak up and say, I wasn't able to take action because, and whatever it is. And if you would like some help, I would like you to ask for it. So I'm not going to offer any suggestions or advice to you. If you just want to come and say, I didn't take any action because, and you just want that to be it, and you don't want any comments, that's okay too. But if you do, I would like you to ask for help. And that sounds way easier than it actually is, because many of us have not learned yet how to ask for help. If you would also like to type it in the chat, that's also okay. It's all okay. Yes, Alice, how are you?
Hi, fine. I had some lack of preparation errors. I did not charge my phone last night. My phone really couldn't handle even sitting there charged in. Thank you for letting me back in this morning.
Absolutely.
when I jumped on, I hear all these great actions people took, but they was sounding kind of positive, and mine was positive, but it was in kind of a painful way that I had to tell somebody that, you know, my spirit didn't resonate hanging out with them when they said, you act like you don't want to even be around me, that other things are more important. I'm like, I've been waiting for a way and how I can share with you that I don't feel good hanging around you. That you've asked me to compromise in ways that I didn't think God would bring me somebody that was going to ask me to compromise on his principles as well as mine. And it just doesn't feel good for me to pretend or sweep it under the rug. And literally, I didn't realize until, you know, 4 days later when he sent me something saying, he now understands what I was saying. He had heard the exact sermon at church. I had no idea what he listens to at church. It was, I went with him one time. But then also he sent me like these 5 screenshots of stuff that he'd read. And it was like, we're almost word for word what I had been saying. And it was released on 7/7, which was that kind of cool portal thing that I think about. But it doesn't draw me back to him, but just to say, I hope this helps you be the higher version of yourself. At the very end of his little message that he sent last night, though, he said, I hope I wasn't the cause of some of the issues you were having. And literally, I just got to the doctor yesterday. My cholesterol is through the roof, and we don't understand why. I'm not the traditional, I don't like fat foods. I won't eat pizza without blotting it off. I peel the crust off of chicken nuggets if I have to. Like I don't eat fried stuff. And I was having really bad epigastric pain and rib pain. We didn't know if my ribs were out or if I was having gallbladder attack, and then my liver enzyme. So a lot of stuff kind of manifest. And I was putting that when I was filling out my form that I really need to listen to my body. And it started telling me 2.5, 3 weeks ago, we're at our limit. You went, 2 weeks past what you should have already. And once I did make that decision that I was going to tell him, it kind of went away, but I had to do my follow through. And it was kind of cool for him to come back, and I had never said he was the cause of my issue or anything like that, but he even said, I feel like this is, stuff that can actually make us physically sick. And I hope that this did not cause you that. Good news, God can heal. And it was like, oh my gosh, I did not realize it, but that is super clear on the multiple sclerosis and the fibro and all these diagnoses I've had over the years in a 25-year marriage that was not where I was my highest self. And of course blamed it on his alcohol addiction, his porn addiction, his stuff, but it still was me too. And so, but I do know that listening to my body piece. So I like when you asked, how did it feel, or what makes your heart beat fast? It also clicked with me in that assessment that what makes my heart beat fast is not always what feels good beating fast. It's also that. And I struggled to think of something that makes my heart beat fast in a good way.
Thank you, Alice. Would you like me to offer any solutions as far as discovering what makes your heart beat fast in a positive way?
Yes, absolutely. Because I hope that it helps other people, even if it's not now, but later.
Okay, I would love to share that. The best way that I have found, the best way to discover what makes your heart beat fast in a positive way is to really be present with what you are doing and to ask yourself, and this takes practice. So I'd like to invite you today, because it's going to be fresh on your mind. As you're going throughout your day, could you witness yourself talking to other people, standing in certain positions? This is very small. This doesn't have to be huge. I find, for instance, when I stand and I lean on a counter like this, that my hips feel really relaxed. Like I can just sit down like a counter that's lower than me and I feel really relaxed. And what happens is I get happy. Simple thing. Very simple
Opening
thing.
that sciatic area. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. And so when I'm saying that, I'm not saying to just try it if you think it might work, but I'm really asking, when you sit in your car, does your car feel good to you? If not, why? When you open the door of your home and you walk through it, do you just rush in, put everything down and think about the things you have to do when you get on the other side of it? Or when you open your door and you walk in, how do you feel? Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel peace? Do you feel calm? Do you feel urgency? Like, what are you feeling? So if you can start to test yourself throughout the day and just ask what feels good to you, when the things feel good, just put your hand on your heart and see what your heart says. Does this really feel good to me? And is my heart beating fast? Does it feel really good? For instance, one of my clients said, you know, what felt good is being able to clear my calendar in the evening and cook myself a meal, drink a glass of wine, and dance while I was cooking. But she said, while I was doing that, on the third day, I realized that what I truly desired that made my heart beat fast wasn't the delicious food that I was preparing for myself, but I began to dream about a partner that would dance and hold me and swing me around and pour the wine for me while I cooked him dinner. And she said that made my heart beat fast. And so it was this expression of self, this ability to say, what's a step further? So if I walk into my home, for instance, if we use that example, and I feel relief, how can I actually feel joy? Is there something right on the other side of the door that I could clear? Maybe I could clear the space there so that when I came in, there was no stimulation, positive or negative for me. I could just step into a new place in my life at that moment in time, and I could put my keys down or my shoes off, and I could just stand there and take a deep breath and be grateful that I have a home to walk into. And then I go down the hallway or up the stairs or into the garage or whatever the thing is that you do next. But if you take that moment and say, how can I make it just 1% better? You're going to start to discover that your heart will beat fast because something will inspire you. And inspiration makes your heart beat fast. So maybe it's a person on the other side of that door, or the wish or hope of a person being on the other side of that door. Think about those things. And I want this week to invite you to explore the step above the last step. So if we think about these things and we're like, my heart beats fast, it feels positive, what would be the next step from that? What would make it even better, beat 1 or 2 beats faster? And start to make that list and see how far to your dream that you can get with that. Because some of us haven't recognized our dreams yet. We haven't realized like how close they are, how far they are, our trajectory of how do we even obtain them? Are they even obtainable? We're going to get to all that. So I don't want to rush into it. But this process that you're going through, it's really important to discover the bad and the good, the feminine and the masculine, all these really beautiful back and forths, because we're going to start to tune in and center. So you're going to feel a lot of emotions on both ends of the spectrum throughout these first couple of weeks. You're going to feel frustrated. You're going to feel excited. You're going to feel energized. You're going to feel lethargic. You're going to feel. You're going to feel. And this is what we want to pay attention to. How do we feel? One thing that was difficult for me in the beginning before my healing journey started was I didn't even understand what the words were that described feelings, because I've always been a high achiever and a doer. And I know that doing things, so this action, can also work outside of your favor if you're too focused for the wrong reasons. And so I had not become numb on purpose, but because I wouldn't allow myself to understand the origin of words, I was keeping those things from my vocabulary, therefore they didn't exist, and therefore I didn't have to feel them. But when an exercise I did was I thought, I really don't even know what despair means. I know angry, I know sad. I know lonely. I don't know what despair means. And someone would ask me, well, do you have despair? Do you feel despair? And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I know the definition, but I don't know what it means to me. And so one exercise I can give you verbally here is to look up words of feelings and emotions and to just go down the list and see if there are any that just compel you to look up the origin of the word and does it resonate with you. So these small things that I'm giving you and inviting you to do, they don't have to be, I'm going to move and go to a different country. That happens too. We've all done it or want to potentially. So it can be something so small, but really what you're going to discover, it's in the big things and the small things. You're going to find that you're the same person throughout. And that identity is expansive. And being unleashed is going to be what makes your heart on fire. So in these steps, in this transformational journey, really what we're doing right now is we're sparking your heart. We're reviving it a bit. We're just talking to it. We're like him or her, however you want to call your heart. We're really just going to start that relationship of how are you doing? How can I be here for you, dear heart? How can I love you more today? And try to listen. And when you find that you're not able to listen, setting some time aside to discover why. And this is not going to come to you right away, potentially. Sometimes it will. Sometimes I have clients that just like all of a sudden it just hits them. They're ready. They came in ready and they're ready to release and to explore and do all the things. And sometimes it takes quite a while. So I want you to really just discover for yourself how you're feeling, what pace you want to be at. How is this resonating with you? Does it feel true to you? And I also invite you, anything that I say during our coaching sessions, whether it's on video recorded or here in the present, is there anything that just really irritates you? That's where to look. These are the things that on the other end of that, you're going to find what makes your heart beat fast in a positive way. Because I'm stirring up something. I'm saying something that is going to spark your heart a bit. And it's for you to discover where that takes you. And so when you open week 3, you're going to feel your heart beat pretty fast. Maybe not for good reasons. I don't know. I hope it is. There's a lot of information, a lot of material. And in this information, you're going to find the things that really call to your heart. Just try opening only those first. Skip all the other stuff. You have permission. You don't have to go in order. You don't have to do it all. This is not, you're not going to win an award at the end for accomplishing every single thing on the list of the journey of transformation in the Heart on Fire program. Like, just do what calls to your heart. Katie, did you have a question?
You said week 3. I just did week 1 last week, so I thought we were on week 2 now, but am I behind then?
No,
So
I misspoke.
Okay.
I misspoke. I'm actually in programming in week 3. So I'm sorry. Thank you for
Okay.
correcting. It's week 2.
Thanks.
So yeah, week 3. So now we're already here. You missed a whole week. Yeah, thank you for that. So week 2 is a little bit more gentle. And I also invite you to, if you are really seeking that you want to start in some of the modalities, if it's breath work, meditations, and that sort of thing, you're going to be seeing those in week 3. So that's kind of what I was mentioning. I'll also be bringing in, and I have mentioned this a little bit, but I want to also kind of mention again, is that we'll be bringing in guests. And that will start in probably around week 4. I'll bring in someone every other time, and it will be to kind of present to you a different modality or perspective. And they're experts in their field. And so, because I do not claim to be an expert in every field, I do claim to be an expert in knowing the people who are. And so we will kind of explore some other people and their gifts. And you'll also find that in the pre-recorded sessions. And so that's kind of what I was speaking of. In week 3, they start. And I believe that in that particular session, which is next week, I'm sorry, apparently we have alarms because it's time to go. I invite you to get started right away, to explore your heart. I don't have any homework for you except for to keep going and to really enjoy this process and love yourself for being here and going through all of the motions to set your heart on fire and to spark your heart. I'll see you next week.